Hello! I'm in our bunny palace. One of them. We have 2 pens like this one with bunnies in each of them. So I usually introduce my videos by saying my name is Meredith Phillips. I'm a writer, reader, and bunny mama, but I haven't shown you any bunnies yet. If you follow me on Instagram, I do have bunny pictures occasionally over there. So I'll leave a link to the Instagram below, but I thought a video with bunnies in it, like who doesn't, what are you, a monster? Like, come on. I just wanted to share our bunnies with you. We have 5 bunnies, which is a lot of bunnies. And if you have any questions about bunny ownership or how to take care of them, I would be happy to help. Like I said, we have 5 bunnies and they are in 2 separate pens. So we've got 3 bunnies in this pen and we have 2 bunnies over there, which I'll go over there in a little bit and show you those 2. The 3 that we have in this pen are Crispin, Junie, and Lucy. And it's the middle of the afternoon right now, so it's their normal sleeping time. They just came running out because I got in here, and they are very curious animals, and so they usually like to see what's going on. Crispin is under a box right over here. Hi! I think the girls are under this paper. There's Lucy! Yeah. We usually have like a house, like a box, cardboard box house in here for them, but they had destroyed it so much that it was actually like about to collapse. So I have a new one on order and it's supposed to be here next week, and then we'll set that up for them, and they don't have to sleep under the propped up packing paper anymore. They're all shedding right now, so if you noticed when Junie ran by, she's the little black bunny, she ran by, she had all this white tufts of fur sticking out on her because they're shedding. So then over on this side we have 2 bunnies, Nibs and Tilly. They're under their house right now, kind of sleeping. They know words, like they know their names and stuff, and there's a specific word that they know really well, and that word is treat. Treats? Treats. Sometimes they'll come running out. Sometimes they know I'm lying, especially Nibs. But I can see him, he's perked up in here, he's listening. Treats, Nibs. Hi, you want a treat? The treat is getting some pets. He's gonna be mad at me. Hi, sweetie. He's gonna go right back under there. They know there's no treats to be had because I'm a liar. This is Nibs. He's our first bunny. He's gonna be 9 years old in August, which is old man territory for bunnies. Their typical lifespan is like 8 to 12 years. So a lot of people ask why we ended up with bunnies or how we ended up with 5 bunnies, because that is definitely a lot. And the answer to why we picked bunnies was because way back in 2011, which is when we got our first bunny, we were living in an apartment. We both had jobs that took us away for, long portions of the day. And I had decided I really wanted a pet. But a dog, which is kind of the maybe first go-to for a lot of people, felt like that wasn't a good fit for us at the time. You have to take dog for a walk, you have to let it out periodically, and if we were gone all day, that wasn't going to be very easy. The second sort of obvious choice, I think, for a lot of people are cats, which I would love to have had a cat, but I'm allergic to cats pretty intensely, so cats were out. And then somehow I came to the idea of bunnies. Bunnies were cute and cuddly, and I thought that would be a great idea. So I did a lot of research about what they eat, their behavior, what they need, how to take care of them, all that kind of stuff, which is super important if you are getting any kind of animal. Please do your research, and do not go to like PetSmart to do your research. They're not going to help you. Please go to a legit source for that animal. So like for rabbits, the House Rabbit Society is a great source. Other rabbit rescues are great sources. Don't go and ask the PetSmart employee how to take care of a rabbit, because they're going to give you a cage that's this big and they're going to give you food that has seeds in it, which they're not supposed to have, and it's terrible. So please do your research. If you're getting a dog, do your research. If you're getting a fish, do your research. Please, these are living creatures and you don't want to torture them because you don't know how to take care of them. It's not fair. Anyway, I researched, and it looked like rabbits would actually be a really good fit for apartment living. They were going to be in some sort of enclosure, and they use the litter bin. You can litter train them like you can cats. We didn't have to worry about like getting home and letting them out. They could go to the bathroom whenever they wanted in their litter bin. And they are crepuscular. I think that's how you pronounce it, but that means that they are most active at dawn and dusk. So similar to deer, they are awake early morning through mid-morning, and then they sleep for most of the afternoon like these two are right now, and then they're more active in the early sort of evening hours. That sounded perfect for our apartment life and for our work schedules. In October 30th, 2011, we went to downtown DC, we were living outside of DC at the time, and we went to the Washington Humane Society, and they had just gotten, the day before, they had just gotten in a mama rabbit with her like 5 babies. And the babies were 9 weeks old, so they had been weaned, and they were ready for adoption. And we saw this little white and gray one, and he was so cute, and we ended up adopting him. We got to take him home that day. We had already gotten like all the supplies we thought we needed. We got him home. He was shaking when we held him in the shelter. He was shaking when he was in the car carry case to go home. He was shaking when we got him home. He was a very scaredy kind of bunny. Crispin's getting a little snack right now. I don't know if you can hear him. They eat a lot of hay. That is their primary diet. Hay should be about like 90% of their intake, which is pretty accurate for what these guys eat. It's just Timothy hay. Baby bunnies get alfalfa hay, but that has a lot of, I think it's a lot of calcium in it, and when they get older they don't need that much calcium. So they get regular Timothy hay, and they will eat a ton of it, and then they will poop out a ton of it. It used to be that a lot of their poop ended up in the litter bin. Our bunnies are kind of like geriatric bunnies now. They're older, and I think Crispin, especially over here, this is Crispin, they generally don't care anymore, so we get poops all over the place. Thankfully, they usually pee in the bin. The 3 in here have kind of gotten a little lax about that. They've taken to peeing in this spot. Can you see that discolored spot right next to the brick? They pee there sometimes, which is hilarious because it's literally right next to the litter bin, but I guess hopping in is too much to ask sometimes. So I don't know what's up with that, but they're healthy. We've taken them to the vet recently and gotten them checked, and they're all good to go, but I guess old bunnies are like old people. They can be a little bit cranky and they just kind of do what they want, but they're cute, so we allow it. Crispin. They're just looking at each other. Crispin might come over. Crispin's my little bear. Come on. There he goes. So the first bunny we got was Nibs. His name is Nibbles because we thought he just chewed on everything and it was adorable. We usually call him Nibs now for short, or Nibbly Wibbly, because I love rhyming nicknames. After we'd had him for a little while, I was reading that bunnies oftentimes like to have another bunny friend, and they're very social animals. They like being able to interact with you, but they also really like having another bunny to be friends with. And I went to my husband and I said, we need to get him a friend, a bunny friend. And even though I had read that you really should do this a certain way, you can't just get another bunny and put them together. It doesn't work like that, but I decided I knew better. And so we went and adopted a Netherland dwarf. That's Junie. I think she's over here. Is she over here? There she is. Hi, Juniper. She's here under there. She's so cute. Come on, you want some hay? She's like, no, I want to go to sleep. We adopted her and we had to wait a little bit. She was 8 weeks old, so she was a baby. We had to wait until she was old enough to be spayed. After she had been spayed, after she had recovered from the surgery, we tried to bond her and Nibs, and it did not work. She seemed totally game and totally happy to have another bunny to snuggle with. He did not like her. We tried for a long time and he didn't like her. Bunnies are kind of like people in that way. You know, as people, there's some people you meet and you instantly click with them. Other people, maybe it takes you a little while to warm up to them, and other people, they just rub you the wrong way. And so I guess something about Junie Nibs did not like, and we could not get them bonded. So we thought, well, I guess we'll just have 2 separate bunnies. But the problem was that Junie seemed really interested in having a bunny friend. She was doing all the right things, all the right behaviors to indicate that she wanted to continue being a buddy pal for Nibs, and he was the one that was like rejecting her. So I thought, maybe I can use my skills of negotiation again to get my husband to agree to another bunny so that we could bond Junie with another bunny so she could have a bunny friend and Nibs could just be bachelor bunny. He somehow agreed, and we found this little guy right here. He was with a rescue group called Friends of Rabbits. I'll link them below. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area and you're interested in adopting a rabbit, they are an awesome group to work with. They do a lot of really great work. They rescue bunnies that are like found running around outside. Side note, you cannot put a domestic rabbit outside and let them go free. That's not how it works. They will die because they don't know how to find food, they don't know how to find water, and they don't know how to find shelter. So please do not do that. They're not wild bunnies. They're a completely different thing. So we found him on the Friends of Rabbits website. His name was Ruffian at the time. He had been given up by his previous owners because he was too aggressive. And the reason he was aggressive was because he hadn't been neutered. And before they're neutered, a lot of times they're very territorial and aggressive. Because he was listed as aggressive, the shelter that he was in was going to euthanize him, because most people don't want to adopt an aggressive bunny. But thankfully this rabbit rescue organization swooped in, they got him out of there, and they had him neutered, and he's like the friendliest little cuddly bun that you've ever seen in your whole life. We put him and Junie together, and they loved each other almost instantly. It was really cute. We sent them away for a weekend to do a little, they call it a bunny moon. Isn't that adorable? But it's where they're in a completely neutral space and they're able to get to know each other and work out their little bunny hierarchy and stuff like that. And when they came home, they were totally fine. They loved each other. They would snuggle and groom each other, and it was adorable. So that was fine for a few months. Then I started thinking about poor Nibs, poor bachelor Nibs, all alone. And I thought maybe he does want a bunny friend, he just didn't like Junie. I think he really needs a bunny friend. And so, once again, I went to my husband and I said, please, can we get another bunny for Nibs? So he could have a friend, and my husband was a real trooper, and I eventually convinced him that this was the way to go. I took Nibs to a bunny speed dating event that the Friends of Rabbits group is putting on, where they have a bunch of adoptable bunnies. You can bring your bunny and you can put them in different pens and see if they get along with any of the other bunnies in particular. So I did this with Nibs, and we eventually put him in a pen with this little brown bunny. She didn't even have a name. She was found running around in a parking lot and was caught, thankfully, by this rescue group, and they keep her safe and put her up for adoption. And Nibs seemed to like her. She's under here. Oh, look at her, you can see her little floof tail. She's all stretched out. Anyway, Nibs seemed to get along with her, and as we were working on figuring out the whole adoption, I mentioned why we were even here with him and this whole other issue with the other 2 bunnies we had, and the bunny whisperer said, listen, if you've got a bonded pair at home and you have this single bunny, sometimes if you try to put a single bunny in with a pair, it doesn't work because it's like 2 against 1. But if you put a bonded pair in with 2 brand new bunnies, it's kind of like 2 against 1 against 1, and they don't really know how the others are related, and it can actually make a good bond. So she said, do you want to try bonding all 4 of them? And I said, yes, that would be so great, because then we could have 1 pen for them and not have 2 separate spaces, which could be annoying. And we brought all the bunnies up to this lady's house who was going to bond them for us. Bunny bonding, if you're interested, look, just Google it, bunny bonding, and it'll tell you how you are supposed to go about doing that. After 2 weeks, she called and she said, come pick them up. They're all bonded and ready to go. So we brought them home and they were awesome. The boys got along, the girls got along. Nibs, I guess, had decided that Junie was fine. For about 6 months, 9 months, they were great. They loved each other. Nibs loved having bunny friends. 2 of the others would be like smushed together like this, and Nibs would come over and like smush his way in between them. It was so cute. But unfortunately, that's not the end of the story, because obviously now we have 5 bunnies and there are 2 separate pens. And the reason for that is one morning we got up, and the first thing we always do is go feed the bunnies because they're always eager for their pellets at breakfast. We came out to the living room where the bunnies were, and this little guy and Nibs were full on attacking each other, like clawing and biting and like rolling on the floor. It was horrible. And long story short, we did have to separate them, and we ended up putting Crispin in with the 2 girls and leaving Nibs once again all by himself. And the reason we did that instead of like putting a boy and a girl and a boy and a girl is because the girls got along, and it felt mean to separate the girls when they didn't need to be. We ended up separating them, and for a few months we had them separate. So Nibs was in a pen by himself, and Crispin and Lucy and Junie were in a pen by themselves. Poor Nibs, and I thought maybe he really does want friends. He seemed to love being with the other bunnies so much, and I thought maybe he just needs one bunny friend. He doesn't need a whole big group. So I went back to Friends of Rabbits and I looked on their website to see if they had any adoptable bunnies, which of course they did. I looked at a whole bunch of them, and I came across Tilly, and she was adorable. She's shedding right now, that's why I'm plucking all this off her since she's out here. And she was gray and white, which matched Nibs, and obviously I needed a matching pair. We went to go see her and put the 2 of them together, and they actually got on really well. Tilly was listed as being aggressive though, so they wanted a family that was going to know how to take care of that. We thought we were up for it. We had had bunnies for a while at that point. She was aggressive when we first got her. When she was first surrendered to the shelter where she had first been, she was so aggressive that she would not let anyone touch her to do anything, to pet her or anything. She was completely terrified of people, which usually means that she was in some sort of abusive home before that, and they had brought her to the shelter. And of course the shelter isn't going to rehome an aggressive bunny, and they don't have the resources a lot of times to rehabilitate them. She was about to be euthanized. Friends of Rabbits came in and got her, and they had rehabilitated her a little bit. She had gotten to the point where she definitely liked being pet. She would eat out of your hand if you had treats or something like that for her. We had to be really careful about how we approached her. If you came at her from the side or from in front, she would lunge and bite you, and not just like nipping, but like hard biting. And as you can see, she's gotten so much better over the years, and these 2 are adorable together. They love each other so much. They're almost always together. It's very rare to come in their little space in here and find one of them on one end and one of them on the other end of the pen. They're almost always smushed together. They just love each other. It's adorable. And Tilly she's gotten so much better over the past several years. It used to be like if they were under their house, if I would reach under there, she would bite. She would be scared. I don't know. She didn't like that. So like right now, I'm able to pluck fur from underneath her chin. It is coming off, but doing this kind of thing, oh no, she would have been my hand off. But she's a little love bun, and we love her. That's right, yeah. And anyway, those are our bunnies. We love them. Look at all this. Can you see all this? That's just one pluckins. Oh, she's mad at me.